And we are live. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, WatchYoMouthReviews. This is your boy James, where today I'm here to give you my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. And it's not going to happen this video, but that's okay. I'm going to live to fight another day. I want to say first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there, single, married, anything in between. Happy Mother's Day to you, especially dealing with all them kids. We appreciate you. But joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Beth. I'll say what's up to her.
Good morning. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who has raised or participated in raising a child. I hope everyone enjoys. Thank you for having me. Like, share, and subscribe. And hello, Sunday.
Hello, Sunday. Yes, you guys. So if you saw this, you saw the title. We're doing Belle Collective Birmingham first here, and this episode was a hot mess. So y'all sit back, relax, get you something to eat, get you something to snack on, as me and Mrs. Best read these ladies for absolute filth because it is well deserved. I promise you, this episode was crazy. So the episode actually picks up where it left off, where we have Stormy Chanel, Tiffany, and Miss Mayer's wife. I know what Miss Mayer's wife's name is. For anybody who tries to correct me, do not do it. I know what her name is. I know exactly what her name is. I know exactly what her husband's name is. But she is going to be, for this show and for my live and for my recaps, Miss Mayor wife. Okay? All right. So they're in here talking about, Stormy said, well, what did Sonetta say? And Tiffany said, oh, no, I want you to tell me what you were offended by. What you were offended by? She goes, no, I want you to tell me what Sonetta said. Like, I want you to, I want what information get back to you. I want to hear it. And so Miss Mayer's wife, she pipes in. She goes, okay, well, she's trying to get to, ask you why you were offended because clearly you were offended. And Stormy said, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. She can speak. She grown. Don't do that. You look cute. Your hair cute, or whatever she said. You look cute. It was so funny. I was hollering. I said, "Damn!" And Miss Mary's wife was so confused, and she said, "Well, clearly you're offended by something." And well, she goes, "That's why I want you to tell me what Singetta told you, so I can clarify." And she goes, "Okay, it was something about a mop." She goes, "Yeah, you don't think that was disrespectful, mop?" I was very offended. She goes, that was nothing to get offended by. I was joking. Like it was just a joke. And Mrs. Mayor starts asking her, so why would you be joking about that? Like what was in the joke? She goes, I don't know. It was something to that extent of me just saying, mop on, clean up on aisle 4 or something like that. It was just a joke. It was haha. But if that offended you, Stormy, I apologize. But I still think it was funny though. I'm sorry. I still think it was funny. And so Chanel was like, well, okay, well, that's a backhanded this apology. Because what do you mean? Like you offended her, but you still thought it was funny. She goes, yeah, I still thought it was funny, and this is, she goes, and that's what Stormy's like, okay, see, I can't mess with you because that's crazy as hell that you would even say that. And so after a couple back and forth, Mrs. Mayor's wife pipes up once again and was like, you know what, that's not who she is. She's a very genuine person and everything. And once again, Storm is like, I don't need you to tell me about that. I see with my own eyes what I'm dealing with. I don't need you to pipe up and say anything else. And so Mrs. Mayor wife and Tiffany was like, okay, well, clearly we're not getting anywhere. Tiffany's like, yeah, because y'all are dark, we are light, and we're gonna go ahead and keep it moving. Now, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. When she said y'all are dark and we are light, my ass was ignorant as hell and thought she was talking about their skin tone. But I know that's not what she was talking about. But I just couldn't help but go there. And I don't know why I went there, but that's what happened. So, but she's talking about their energy is dark and theirs is light. And I'm just looking at Tiffany and like, girl, this is my problem with Tiffany. And I'm gonna make this point several times in the video, but I'm gonna make it the first time right now. So the first time I'm gonna say this. Tiffany was not that was not joking behavior. To me, you looked at her in that moment as a subordinate and you wanted to, chastise her in that moment for her to clean up and everything because you felt like you had the overall control and the power because it was your event, your weird ass event. And I think for me, that was what Stormy was mad about, and that's why she was offended because she's not the help. She was doing you a favor. But a lot of people, because when they were walking off, her and Miss Mayor's wife, she was saying, "Oh, well, it's an honor to be able to serve and to be on." It's like that's not how you made it seem in that scene. It's mighty funny, Tiffany, how you like to rewrite history and like to have, revisionist historian mindset. It's very convenient for you. But I didn't like that scene at all. I thought it was terrible. I thought Tiffany and Miss Mayor's wife was doing the absolute most. But we gonna ask Mrs. Best how she felt about the whole scene in the beginning.
Um, I think a lot of people are biased and giving Stormy a pass because they got a lot of Love and Marriage Huntsville fans watching this show. I actually think Stormy handled the situation wrong. I also feel like Tiffany handled the situation wrong. I do agree with the fact that Stormy has a right to be offended at her making the mop the floor comment because it was rude. Even if they did know each other, that was rude. And I feel like people forget you can throw shade at somebody that you know as well. So, regardless, the comment was not okay. But then Tiffany to go in it, trying to act like you're so calm and collected while also bringing your homegirl. And if you know exactly what offended someone because someone else came to you, instead of getting mad that they went to someone else, if you really were about peace, you would have approached Stormy in a way that was more like, hey, I went out with the other ladies to work out and I was made aware that you didn't like a comment I made about a mop. I'm a person that's goofy. I joke. I have a dry sense of humor. Maybe it don't work with you. But Tiffany didn't even try to do that. She was just trying to like get Stormy to admit what bothered her so that she could manipulate the situation into why would you go to everybody else and not me? Because that's what everybody's argument is. So I get that part. So I just after watching the whole thing, I feel like they're both wrong. And more so, Stormy, if you know someone's done you wrong and you know you got to film with this girl, just tell her why she offended you. Like, it's okay if she told other people first, but now that she's in front of your face, tell her why she offended you. I don't understand why she didn't do that.
I
So it
agree, because
just,
yeah, I
and then the
agree.
friends jumping in, like, I don't need my friends to defend me. And if I want my friends to defend me, I'm gonna make it clear that they know I'm gonna want them to have my back. But I feel like this bitch Tiffany is using the mayor's wife because she thought that having the mayor's wife next to her would mean that Stormy would pipe down a little bit. But I don't care what nobody says. Being the friend of the mayor's wife is not a flex. It's not a flex to be friends with anybody. It's not. That's just a way of admitting that you excited to be friends with someone based on what they can provide to you, which is extremely fucking shallow in my opinion. Uh, I don't I don't like how anybody handled it though. Everybody was messy. And then y'all arguing in front of the Civil Rights Museum. That's what the fuck wrong with Birmingham as it is. Miss Mayor's wife, since you want to be on camera. She didn't even try to say, hey ladies, let's not do this here.
Yes.
Even give a damn.
That is such an excellent point. Like such an excellent point, because you're absolutely right. They didn't even try. And y'all, this is what's wrong with black people now. I'm sorry. This is what's wrong with black people now.
Oh no, just me. I'm not saying that Tiffany saw Stormy through. I don't think that Tiffany thought she was going to manipulate herself out of some shit. And she's
Yes.
messy. She's highly messy. She's highly manipulative. And one thing I hate is a messy bitch that's also a liar, but can't stand on her own 2 feet. Because her friend kept jumping in every time Stormy had caught Tiffany in the corner and she was forced to be accountable. That's when Miss Mayor's wife wanted to speak up. Like, no, part of being friends with people is telling them sometimes when they wrong. You ain't got to tell her right there, but I mean, you can let her answer for herself. Tiffany's a big girl.
I would just expect Miss Mayor's wife not to say anything at all and just kind of just observe. And if it got too heated, be like, hey, ladies, like you just said, hey, ladies, this is not the time or the moment. We're trying to reach some resolution. How about we do this a different time?
You remember on Housewives of Atlanta when Eva first came on her first
Mm,
season and Mike
yes.
was running for mayor of Atlanta?
Hmm.
And she was so quiet and people were like, where's Eva the diva and the girl we knew from Top Bottle? And she had spoke on that and said her husband was running for mayor, so she had to conduct herself in a certain type of way. That's what I expect to see this lady doing, but she's just not doing that. So I don't know. I would have talked shit to Miss Mayor's wife if I was Stormy. I would have been like, that's why this city ain't shit and your husband ain't fixed nothing. I would have been talking all sorts of shit, Googling stats. That's just
Uh,
me.
Damn. So DM Rocks is here. I didn't even see you. Hi, DM Rocks. Hey, Stormy's friend Chanel had me laughing when she said, "Are we the dark?" That shit was crazy as hell. I'm sorry. I
They
still
were
was.
dressed in black though, and I didn't realize it because at first I almost took it for race too, but then I was like, wait, everybody here is kind of lightly complected.
Yeah, because you take your notes and you're just listening. You're not really paying attention
Yeah, then
to.
you're like,
Yeah,
wait, what? Did
that's
I
why
hear
I
that
was
correct?
like, the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, we were talking about because in my notes originally I said, now we take making this a colorism issue,
No,
Mrs.
and then I
Mayor,
looked up and I
Mrs.
said,
Mayor's
Miss
wife.
Chanel is the only one there who was of any type of a darker complexion. Okay, and Miss Chanel wasn't even all of that in terms of dark skin, dark skin. I said, oh no, okay. And then I looked, they was all in black. I said, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's what I looked too. I was like, the second time I watched this, I was like, oh, okay, they were dressed in black. I said, I got you. I said,
Just
Tiffany,
ready to
Miss
be
Mayor.
mad at
So
some
I
people for
was
bullshit.
right. I was ready. I was going to look at Miss Mayor's wife all kind of sideways, like Miss Mayor's
Do
wife.
you know the complexion of the people in your city?
Right. Like, what is going on here? I think the producers made Tiffany invite Stormy to the event. Tiffany didn't like that.
Clock it. She probably thought it was her moment.
She probably did. And the
Clock
thing
it,
about it
Jesse.
is, this is my problem with Tiffany. It's like you're on a show collectively with other women. You're gonna have to invite people to the event. Like it's just how it's gonna
And
go
people
when
are
it comes to
watching this
filming.
show
Yeah, and they're watching
because
the
of
show.
Stormy. Like, if we did not know Stormy, based on what Carlos King shows have given before, I promise you they wouldn't have got the amount of people to watch as they have now. And
I
I feel
agree.
like
'Cause
Tiffany knows that. And I feel like that makes her insecure. And that's why she keeps telling us she's Ricky Smiley's this and her proposal went viral. And she keeps talking about all these great things. I just don't like when people are thirsty to be the center of attention and she gives that.
the thing about it is, even with her saying all those things, we still don't know you. We know Stormy.
She's
And
not going to let us know
some
her.
people knew Fumi too before this. So yeah, like no, we don't know you, ma'am. So sit back, relax. She did do that because Tiffany let what Sunyetta said, and I agree with that too. I kind of
Mhm.
feel like to me, I would want to know what Sunyetta said as well to make sure she brought it back to you correctly. That's all I would have said, like at the beginning. Stormy saw right through Tiffany, not the other way around. I think they both see each other. I think Tiffany's intimidated by Stormy. I really
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I
That's
feel like
clear.
that's where I think they both see each other. It's just their responses are different. I feel like Tiffany's intimidated, and I feel like Stormy's problem with Tiffany is that it's it was kind of like to me, it reminds me of her beef with Melody almost, where it's like you may not be on my level, but you prestigely act like you on my level or above me. And I have a problem with people doing that because I'm
It's
supposed to
given
be.
Latrice and Marie.
That's another good one too. That's
Like, it
another
just
good
in
one as
terms of
well.
the love hate, I don't see them beefing with each other long term. I just don't, especially the way Stormy moves from what I remember of her on Love is Marriage Huntsville. If she feel like a bitch ain't on her level, she for sure ain't gonna beef with you for too long. But they do give Marie and Latrice,
Yeah,
except
they
only one
do.
of them has edges.
Damn. Absolutely. I like that. It was inappropriate how it was. It was. It was absolutely. Um, and Miss Mayor's wife had the audacity to say Stormy's all about money and lacks substance. What about her and her husband? They say showing off their wealth on social media. They sure do. Y'all see
I
Miss
mean,
Mayor's
they're in
wife Instagram?
politics. They are in politics. Anybody in politics off the rip, you're literally about money. Like, you cannot run to be mayor of anything without money. But you gonna say something about the next lady. At least she helped me not to be ashy. Have you helped the economy of Birmingham, bitch? Just saying.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm in the bushes. I hope I'm not late. No, Keywan, you are not late. You right on time. We appreciate you. Um, she said, "I hope you know we've been vision, Mrs. Best." So now the next scene we have is Stormy. She is with her little boy Chess. His name is Chess. I almost said Chase. Chess. Cute little boy. Um, she's talking about making a time capsule because she had purchased contractors to build her mom's house, and you know I was very conflicted with this scene because we know her mama. She was on Love and Marriage Huntsville. She did the absolute most on more than one occasion. And every time Stormy mentions her mom, I just think of, her saying that when she dropped out of college and wanted to pursue this business venture, her mom called her a stupid bitch. So I feel like when I hear things like that, and then you building up houses, I said Stormy has a lot of conviction. I'm gonna let that be known there. A lot of conviction because for me, I don't know if it would be that easy for me personally. Just saying. But she's having her son, get his 3 items. I thought they were cute running around that house and everything. It was a cute little scene. But, we'll see. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But at this point in the episode, Mrs. Best, how did you feel about Stormy, building her mom a house and wanting to have a time capsule with her son?
They had a house and they had land. Okay. I maybe would have offered a renovation, but I think it just goes to show kind of that thing in the Black community where no matter how much wrong our parents do or how much they fuck up the church's money when raising us, we still, when we get older, feel an obligation to be there for them, to support them, to do for them, things like that. Because what her mom said to her and what I remember on Love and Marriage Huntsville with her and her mama was nothing positive. The lady seemed a little mean. I don't know if that's okay to say. Sorry. Happy
Mm.
Mother's Day, y'all. But Story's mom seemed mean. But it's nice of her to be willing to do something for her parents. And the way her mama is, this may be in her benefit because if that lady ever tried to come for her, she could be like, I built you this house, bitch, since they be calling each other that name. So I don't know.
Like I said, Stormy has a lot of conviction because it couldn't have been me personally. We would have to work on some things first before I just, voluntarily just build you a home. And paying, will she say $250,000 or something like that?
Listen,
Whatever
they
she
had a
paid.
home, they had acres of land. I would have built my daddy a shed or something, maybe offered to put a pool in. Maybe I cover the utilities, but I'm not building everything. I also think it's important to change the narrative in the Black community with how we do it. Our parents, if you are a parent, you are not raising your child so that they can do for you later in life. That is not the point. That is not the purpose. You should raise your children so that they should be able to be independent in life. And if they choose, and if you did right on the empathy, they will want to do for you naturally. But I don't know. Maybe Stormy's just, I really don't get why she's building this house, but it looked like it's going to be nice.
It does look like it's going to be nice when we get there. We'll get there in just a second. Next, we have Amber. So Amber is, in the bed with her niece, and they're talking about Amber's, freezing of her eggs, and Amber's having a little bit of complications, and it's rough on her. She said emotions are high, and she has her friend come over and help her with the shots, and Amber's like, this is a lot because, there's a potential that this may not happen this first go around because of Amber having something a little too high. I don't, I'm not too familiar with the freezing eggs process. Y'all forgive me for that. I was trying to follow along with Amber, but between the scene with her doing the shots again and then her crying and stuff, it was really hard for me to
It
understand what she
sounds
was saying.
like I will help you out because I have gone through IVF and fertility processes and things like that. It sounds like she is a bad doctor. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to down people, but there is a reason why she might want to take that road trip to Atlanta. And I'm not saying that to be shady. And I'm not saying her doctor is terrible, but based on the side effects she's had, the fact that she's wound up in the hospital, it's not normal for women to just go through that trying to get us to ovulate. I feel like they need to look more into it, change her medication, or there's something that she's doing that's incorrect. She shouldn't have got sick so fast. And the fact that she's still on the med and they just gave her Zopran worried me. She need a new doctor.
Hmm.
You have to change doctors sometimes in your fertility journey. Really, you have to change doctors sometimes depending on what they tell you, how they treat you, things like that, especially as Black people. And even if your doctor is of color, it does not always mean that they are the best doctor. That is all.
Okay. Well, then there you guys have it. That's Mrs. Best's opinion. I have no business in this territory. It was like I said, the scene was very confusing, but all I did was I felt Amber's emotions behind it. I know that that's a tough process. I wish her well and hoping that things go well with her in this, journey in her life. So the next scene, we have a
Can I
scene with
say
Tip.
though, before you move forward,
Yeah.
I'm tired of Amber. I feel like she's messy. I feel like she hides behind other people's drama to be relevant on camera. And if you guys have noticed, we are in what episode now? I don't know what number of episode this is, but every episode that this show has been on the air, she's got to have a problem with somebody about something. It's almost like she's looking for it. I don't really care for her on this show. I don't feel like she's fully being honest. And I don't feel like she's the best CFO based on that live. But that's all. I'll digress.
All right, there. No. This is your chance to give your opinion. So this is where hey, that's where it stands. Um, you and me both. I'm tired of Amber and that niece. Lord Jesus,
They're
that
hella
niece,
extra for no reason. It's like they're excited for the camera and it comes off disingenuous.
especially the niece. But I'll get to that in just a second. So, we have the next thing we have Tiffany and Miss Mayer's wife. They're meeting up with Kayla. Now, Tiffany said that when they were at the boxing class or whatever it is they took, Kayla had mentioned that she doesn't have very many friends and that she doesn't, have girlfriends that she can connect with or that she can, talk to. So this is very new for her in this whole environment, being on not only television, but being around ladies that, she has to connect with and maybe have some level of friendship with. So she's meeting up with them, you know, to kind of, bridge that gap and connect with women more. And when she gets there, that's what the ladies first mentioned. It broke their hearts that she has not had like real friends and everything and going through all of that. And, they asked her, where does that stem from? And we get a little bit more of Kayla's backstory. She goes, that's just her kind of being shy. Her dad passed away when she was 11 years old, and she had, a lot of trouble in high school. And, meeting up with these men at such a young age was definitely something that was kind of in her, portfolio at that time. And then her and her mama were going through it. And she said that she had some very dark moments in her life. She had, when she was going through her divorce, she went through it alone. She said there was her and, a bottle of some very good alcohol. So she, was going through that. And Miss Mayer's wife pops up and was like, she can relate to that very much. So divorces are very, very hard. She went through one herself, so she can understand where Kayla is going through. And I thought that was very interesting, Miss Mayer's wife, that you shared that. And let me put a pin in that because there's something that she did in this scene that I did not like based on this conversation. So they move on to, Stormy and this whole thing. And she goes, yeah, because I guess Kayla was another one who couldn't make it to the Civil Rights Museum. And she said, so how was the Civil Rights Museum? And she said, oh, well, we never got a chance to go in. And Kayla was like, well, why didn't you go in? And she goes, well, me and Stormy kind of had a little bit of a tiff, between us. And she goes, well, what was the tiff? And Tiffany was like kind of looking at her like, why is she asking me these questions? And so she was like, well, it's just a disagreement we had. What was the disagreement? Said Kayla. And Tiffany, once again, was kind of side eyeing her. She goes, I don't, I really don't want to talk about it with all the other bells. This is going to be something that me and Stormy are going to have a conversation about, And Kayla kind of puts a nugget in and said, it was about a mop, wasn't it? And that's what Tiffany puts, kind of a two and two together, but it really wasn't a two and two. I just think that, that probably had been circled around the group. And she goes, okay, see, this is where I'm going to drop the conversation because, I feel like you're picking and prodding. And I just told you I wasn't going to talk about this in front of the bells. And she goes, well, I don't know what's going on. And, I just want to know, what happened between you and Stormy and everything. And Miss Mayer's wife was like, well, I just want to let you know that a situation happens. She doesn't want to talk about it. Why are you pressing on this? And I'm looking at Miss Mayor's wife like, are you fucking serious? What is with you and wanting to defend this lady? This lady is grown. This lady could do fine by herself. And Kate's like, well, I'm not doing anything. I just, I think you're just weird. I'm just asking her a question. I'm confused. Like, why are we, doing this? She goes, and Miss Mayor's wife felt something in her spirit. She was convicted. She goes, you know what? I don't need no new friends. I'm gonna take my food to go because I don't like where this conversation is going. I'm sorry, I'm Kayla, but I wish you well. I think you're great and all, but I just don't think this will work between you and I said, Miss Mayor's wife, excuse me. So not only were you pricking and prodding in this lady's business, had this lady share a very vulnerable thing with you because it wasn't like she gave y'all vague details like Tiffany over there. It was very much extensive details, and you tried to connect with her. But because she's sitting over there pressing Tiffany, because Tiffany is not giving her anything to really understand the situation in this casual conversation you were having, you then get up and want to pick up your food and leave, and then tell her you don't need no new friends. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I would have cussed out Miss Mayor's wife right in that restaurant, that empty ass restaurant. Because how dare you, ma'am? Oh, no, y'all. Miss Mayor's wife, I'm done. That nailed her in the coffin for me. This lady is rude as hell. I have nothing for Miss Mayor's wife at this point because how dare you? This lady stood up there and poured her heart out to you, told y'all she don't have no friends, and for you to say I can see why and I don't need no new friends. Oh, hell no. Miss Mayor's wife, at the end of the day, you are not on the show. Tiffany is. You don't need to be here either. Mrs. Best, how'd you feel about that scene?
How we supposed to get the community to congregate in peace when the mayor's wife is behaving like Regina George?
Right.
I just don't like mean girls. I've never had that energy in me. I could be blunt, but I'm never going to be mean to people I care about. Even if I don't care about you, I feel like we should really be kind to each other. There was no fucking reason to waste that girl's time, gas, and energy coming out to film a scene with your thirsty ass, Tiffany, who can't do nothing on your own. It just looked like it was shady. I don't feel like they invited Kayla because she mentioned not having girlfriends. I feel like they invited Kayla because they got into it with Stormy. They know that Kayla is liked by Stormy and getting to know Stormy and doing well. And Tiffany is a messy, underhanded bitch that's going to try and probably take people who are friends with Stormy and have them side with her, or she's trying to cause division. I don't like messy people. I just don't like it. And the gang up was unnecessary. Tiffany, your neck and that hole in the center of it, your wrinkled ass neck, that big ass forehead out here looking like Plies in 2006, and you want to come and be mean to other people for absolutely no reason. And y'all know I don't really care for Kayla too much either, but she did not deserve that, and they had the right one that day. Because if they would have tried that with Fumi or Amber or Stormy, they would have been cussed out. I wish Kayla.
I wish she wasn't so ditzy. Like when you rethink about the scene, and not so much with Tiffany, because Tiffany kept it very vague. It was Miss Mayor's wife for me. It was her after getting this lady's business, like her personal business and details. You saw about I don't need no new friends and I'm good and all this kind of stuff. It's like, then what the fuck were you trying to connect with then?
They were there to be messy.
Yeah, it was crazy, y'all. I'm sorry. Yes, Tiffany was doing the most, but it was definitely Miss Mayor's wife for me. I was like, wow, lady. After you didn't got this business of this lady, you really gonna sit up there and act like that?
It's kind of stupid too, because lady, you coming out here doing the absolute most. You're not a cast member. You're not even a friend of. You're literally only here for Tiffany. And why is Tiffany getting a full-time cast member check if the bitch can't do nothing on her own? Everywhere she goes, she got this girl with her. And they're going to use the bullshit. We've been friends for 18 years. Okay, me and James been friends for 20 years. We don't have to film every scene together if we was in a reality show.
We sure do. Yes.
Tiffany can't do nothing on her own but want to be the messiest of messy.
And let's keep something very clear. If me and Mrs. Best wasn't a scene together, whoever we into at the moment, best believe we got this on our own. If Mrs. Best is into it, I'm just sitting there.
If I
I'm
have to
there,
step in, it's likely to say, "Come on, friend, we leaving."
right?
That's it. But you don't need to. Once you get to a certain age, it's like you should be able to defend yourself.
I think DM Rocks, you have a great point. I think Kayla is socially awkward, but I also feel like in this she is nervous because this isn't her regular environment, as she mentioned. She doesn't have very many friends. She
That makes it
doesn't,
all the more
yeah.
worse what they did to her, because it is very clear that this girl is socially awkward. They've heard her story. They know that she's been around older people and older men much of her youth. So she may not know how to socialize with people who are her age. She may not do well at that. She also said that she was chasing after boys instead of making girlfriends. In high school, is very important to have friendships and stuff in high school. She probably doesn't know if she's introverted or not, but for them to know that and to see a weakness and to take advantage of it and then try to kick her when she's already down was whack.
It was whack. It was horrible.
Because y'all on the show,
Horrible.
she can ask a question about anything that happens with the cast members of this show. It's her job.
And once again, and like I said, Tiffany was being vague as hell. She was not giving any details. She wasn't saying anything. And it's like, okay, if you want me to understand the situation, you need to come up off some details. You ain't got to say everything that happened, but just say what she could have been offended by, and maybe I could help the situation versus you giving me just those very small, very in particular details that didn't make a damn difference to anything. But you want to get all my personal business so you can judge me in the car later. Okay. Okay.
And she
Okay,
was so
Tiffany.
mad. All of this stemmed because Tiffany was mad that people's husbands didn't show up to an event. But honey, that's the only time we seen yours.
Yeah.
The only time we seen yours.
Jasmine said the mayor's wife doesn't care about the people of Birmingham. You see, she isn't here showcasing service, but had the audacity to speak on Stormy not understanding how to serve.
That's true.
You better tell the truth, same dumb. Miss Mayor's wife doing the most.
That's why
Like,
every time this lady do something messy, I'ma remind people this is not very political of her. She
no,
must be taking advice from the orange thing.
I'm just saying. She didn't. She didn't say she thought Kayla was great. I, you know, it makes me mad that they would do this. Both Miss Mayor's wife and Tiffany. It makes me mad that y'all would invite this lady out all to sun her. And then Tiffany had the nerve to say at the end, she goes, "Well, lunch is on me. Enjoy your food. Goodbye." I was like, wow, Tiffany.
Kayla's the
Wow.
one with the business, bitch. You the only one on here for prayer. You don't do shit. Kayla has a business. You can say what you want about her, but she has a business. She's well known, and her business is paying her well. All we've seen Tiffany do is loudly pray, like them people who you question if they really filled with the spirit or if they just trying to look like everybody else in church.
You better tell the truth, friend. Because, ooh-wee. All right, y'all, but we gonna move on to the next scene. So let me get my notes here. I'm over here. So, oh yeah, Kayla, after lunch, she called Stormy right outside the restaurant, and she's talking to Stormy, and she said that she went out with Tiffany and Miss Mayer's wife, and Tiffany went in about that situation, but she didn't even go into no details. And then they tried to play me in the scene where they were like, "Oh well, we don't want to be friends with you," and da 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 da. And as she's giving the information, Tiffany's walking by, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're still here? I see you're talking about me and everything." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm on the phone with Stormy." It shows her the phone. She goes, "Oh, have a good day." And I looked at Tiffany. I said, "Tiffany, what was the point of even saying anything to her? Like, just walk on by. Act like you don't hear, act like you don't see her. You want a moment." And Kayla ain't the one to give it to you because Kayla don't know what's going on half the damn time. And that made me actually like Kayla a little bit more. The fact that Kayla don't know what be going on, because at the end of the day, you could be oblivious and it is to your benefit and to your right because you don't know what's going on because Tiffany, once again, ain't giving no details and Stormy is giving all the details. So now you only have one side. See, Tiffany, this could have been your moment to get people to understand maybe your point of view of the situation if you would give details. But because you won't do that because you know your ass is wrong, you know, This is what happens. Just me say, even though I do believe Kayla should approach the incident differently, since she obviously knew about it, she didn't deserve to be judged. Okay, this is yeah. I understand what you're saying, just me, but let me kind of put it in this perspective. She only has one point of view of the story. And the way she was asking wasn't in a way where it was being messy. Tiffany wasn't giving any information about it. Like she went in with the story, but was leaving out very intricate parts of it. Like she was not saying anything for Kayla, even if Kayla knew about it or didn't know, how she's supposed to assess the situation by Tiffany's details. Yeah, I offended Stormy. How did you offend her? Oh, I don't know. So you don't, someone tells you you're offended, but you don't know. But you've had people come up to you and say it. So even if I know about it, yeah, I'm gonna press you.
They were both, I think Kayla did approach the situation wrong at the table, but then I also feel like Tiffany is going to say, I don't know, because she knows that Kayla is friendly with Stormy. And if it gets back to Stormy that she did know how she offended her, that's going to be more of a problem. I think at this point, it is, it's stupid. They did jump on the, just me is correct. She did not say, I see you talking about me, but she did figure it out that she was talking about her. Um,
I know she didn't say it. This is me giving a story, just me, just kind of just go with it. I know a lot of the things they didn't say they didn't do in the scene, but I'm just kind of giving my own story. That's how I roll. I know you're not new to me, but that's how I roll. Come on now, you know this.
Tiffany just don't want to admit that she's wrong to anybody. That's what I see. She didn't admit she was wrong to Fumi. She didn't admit she was wrong to Stormy. She's not going to acknowledge that dogs read energy and that that dog thought that she was evil. I feel like this will be a recurring thing with Tiffany season after
Hmm.
season after season. And I question any person that claims to be a servant of the Lord and a true Christian that cannot have accountability within their self, because that's a big part of Christianity. Happy Sunday, y'all.
Happy Sunday. All right. So we're going to move on to the next scene, which is Stormy. She's in Mississippi at her parents' house. They are, putting down the new home. As we said earlier in the video, it is very, very beautiful. Stormy has her time capsule that she wants to bury with her son. So that way, when he has kids, they can look it up and see what he has buried whenever that time is. Stormy's mom and her dad, they're showing her all around the house. And we look on the property. We saw Stormy's very first studio when Canvas Beauty, was up and coming, to see where she has started from to now where she is. I thought that was a beautiful segue of her life and story in detail. She was talking about, her dad and how he used to have her up 5 o'clock in the morning out there, working and stuff. Like she said, like I was a boy. I was laughing at the rest of this damn Stormy, because Stormy is the only child. So, you kind of have to take what you can get. And they were the conversation then turns a little bit because Stormy was telling her mother, that her mother's love was very, different. It felt like, she was giving her tough love as the kind of love. And Stormy's mom said, well, this world is tough. So, I wanted to make sure you were always prepared for that. And I think what Stormy wanted from her mother, which a lot of people, when you have moms like that, what you want is you want the softness too. You want there to be balance. I think that with Stormy's mom, based on what we know of her from Love and Marriage Huntsville, that's all I can go by. I think that she is just one of those people that is just very stern and just very direct and just very tough. And I think that, I don't know her backstory once again. This is what we saw in Love and Marriage Huntsville, where if that lady feel away, you gonna know it. She's not going to sugarcoat anything to you. How she feels is what she says versus, maybe being considerate. Because I think a lot of, parents need to be a little bit more softer. I get the world is tough, but you don't have to be so stern with your children to where they don't feel like your love was actual love. It just was tough love. So, for me, I'm not begrudging how people raise, because obviously how she raised Stormy. Stormy wasn't motivated enough to get to where she is, but I understood Stormy a little bit, because my mom is very stern, so I understood it. And Miss Betty, is proud of Stormy. She's proud of Stormy for what she has become, and she doesn't want Stormy never to not know that. And Stormy gets very emotional because you could tell that that's not something that is ever really said to her about proud. I think now, once you reaping the benefits of it, building this house, I think now is a great time. But she probably always told Stormy that, it just, now that it's on camera and it wasn't so much on Love and Marriage Huntsville, now's a good time to make up for it. We're seeing a little bit of a softer side of Betty now. I don't know if it's because, how she acted in Love and Marriage Huntsville, but it's nice to see. And her dad was kind of cool too. He was funny. He was making me laugh. How did you feel about the scene with her parents?
Her daddy kind of looked like a thin version of James Earl Jones. He was still here. But I feel like with parents, that's why when people talk about their families or show a little bit of family on a reality show, I think it's very easy to want to judge and figure out and put the pieces together based on what we see. But the family is less adjusted to being on TV than the child. Stormy has made it seem like her mom is so difficult, but from what I saw when she went over her life, it sounded like she had two very supportive parents, and she may not have gotten all the emotion she wanted from her mama, but it sounds like her dad made up for where her mom lacked, which is why a two-parent household is important. A piece of me feels like Stormy might have been just a little bit spoiled growing up, which you can be while not being rich. A lot of people do not realize that. Like people, for instance, who know they can always go back home to family are spoiled to a certain extent and will live their life sometimes a little more recklessly because they know they can go right back home to family. I feel like with Stormy, her mom is not as bad as she has been made out to be. We probably just watched her and her mom at like a tumultuous time, which everybody goes through with their parents sometimes. And with her being less emotional, I feel like it makes it read more into that negative opinion about her. But I was happy to see her family just come together, be regular. I also think it's important for people to understand and accept sometimes our parents just are not going to be able to show us appreciation the way that we would like them to. Doesn't mean they're not showing it to you, but I mean, our parents come from a different generation, and the generations, especially generations before millennials, they don't do as well with emotional regulation and feelings and the child expressing themselves. So I feel like that's all it is. But I think Stormy and her family will be good.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, from the looks of it, that house is going to be beautiful. So I
I'm like,
kind of
what they
still
gonna do
feel
with the
away.
other house?
Tear it down. That's a double wide. But that's neither here nor there. Betty and her thin mint eyebrows wouldn't get a stick of house from me back to the bushes. That's okay to feel that way, Keywan, because I mean, I felt the same way. I was kind of like, I don't know about all of this. Like, I just wouldn't know. Like to me, as I said, I would look out for my mom, but when we talk about building houses and stuff, like, yeah, that's where we kind of.
If her mom is truly as bad as she claims she was, then pay the utilities. Don't build a house. But a piece of me thinks that her mom isn't as bad as what everyone perceives and saw. I
I'm just
strongly
going.
believe that.
I'm going based on Stormy's reaction. I get what you're saying because I do agree with that, but it's Stormy's reaction for me that makes me feel like okay, maybe it was as bad. And then when I think about also that interaction Stormy's mom had with her aunt and the cousin that time on Love and Marriage Huntsville, that's what always comes to my mind and how it's almost giving Mama Joyce when Candy had those restaurants. You remember when Candy and the gang happened and Mama Joyce and her niece had got into it? That's what comes to my head. Like that's exactly what it's
I
going
am the
on.
only person that did not watch Candy and the Gang. I am not that amused by. I've never been. I prefer Candy Burris writing music, doing plays, producing shows, performing with Escape. I don't want her to sing independently. I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
watch. I should go watch it though, because people keep saying Candy and the Gang was good.
Well, I'm just trying to, I don't know, I was trying to make a reference to why I can understand Stormy's point of view a little bit more. I think it does affect her that her mom wasn't immediately supportive because she couldn't see the vision until maybe it made Stormy a few million. And then that's when you kind of turn around.
It's
It's
not
kind of
true
like,
that your mama didn't see your vision if she lets you have a studio and work out of her house.
maybe.
You can't sit here and show your childhood and say that your parents always supported you, made sure you had a roof and was there for you, rooted you on, paid for your schooling, and gave you a room in their house to work out of, and then say that she wasn't supportive. You just can't say that.
I think she's just holding on to her mama calling her, a stupid bitch. I think that she's just holding on to that because I agree with that too. I feel like, yeah, well, Stormy, you made it seem like your mama wasn't really with this whole idea and you held on to the stupid bitch, but then you have a whole studio on the property and everything like that. Now, that could have been her dad for all we know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
we
feel like
don't
she
know.
has supportive parents, but that comment her mom made when she decided to drop out is probably where the rip happened and changed their relationship. But
Yeah.
just because your relationship changed based on a decision you made doesn't take away from your parents being supportive. So I think that's why she's willing to build the home, but is still wanting to have those emotional talks and connections with her mama, because she looked at her dad and everything seemed fine with them.
Maybe maybe she's just trying to mend that wound. That's probably what that is. And and I can understand that too. As long as she don't seem balled up. I mean, girl, let's move on. So we have Sonetta, whatever her name is, event. She's well connected. Everybody knows Sonetta for her parties and everything. As I said, it's awfully funny that Sonetta is not on the show as a main cast member since she's so connected. That's very much the Moneta of Belle Collective here, Birmingham. But everyone shows up to the event. Kayla shows up, however, very emotional. She says she had a rough day and that she's not really, feeling up to being here, but she is showing up because one, she's filming a show, and two, she's trying to get to know the ladies. I totally get it. Um, Amber and her niece, are there. They are loud and walking up in there, and Senora doesn't leave Kayla's side. She goes, I want to make sure you good. Like, do you need anything? What can I do for you? She goes, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. Like, it's just been a really rough day and everything. So, um, Kayla's like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. So Amber says that, Kayla is here. She's telling her niece that Kayla's here. She goes, okay, well, I'm gonna go talk to her real quick. Let me go, holla at her. And so before Kayla could even go to the bathroom, the niece, Kyla walks up to her. She goes, hey, Kayla, can I talk to you for a minute? And she goes, sure, let's go ahead and talk. So as tears are still streaming down Kayla's face, the niece wanted to say, I didn't like your comment about what you were saying, that was very rude and everything, and did you mean anything by that and everything? And as she noticed it, she was like, why are you crying? Like, what's going on? And she goes, I'm sorry, I just had a really, really bad day. It's just, she goes, oh. Now in her confessional, she said, I don't care about them tears, I'm gonna get my point across. And then this fool gonna have the nerve. She said, can I get you a napkin? And and had a napkin with her face on it. I said, oh my God.
Don't ever introduce me to anybody like that, James. It's not that I won't like them, but God is working on me, and I have learned to watch my mouth, but I have not learned to mind my facial expressions, if y'all get where I'm coming from. If anybody ever pulled and handed a napkin to me with their face on it, and we are not at their birthday party, their wedding, a baby shower, like something where you would expect to see a face of somebody, you do too much. And maybe you are on that powder. Because what would possess you to go, there are children that are starving, and this bitch put her face on a napkin? I can't.
I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow. But
It's
Kayla
kind
says
of funny though. Like, you don't take her seriously
you
because of how
don't, but
extra
yeah.
she is. And I know she wants to be taken seriously.
Yeah. But Kayla, says she didn't mean anything by it in the scene. Now in the confessional, she says she didn't know what she meant. I said, Kaylee, come on, you can't be this oblivious. Like now it was okay in the moment, but like, Lord Jesus. So, but they hug it out, and that scene what it is. Was there anything else that happened? Because I'm still stuck on that napkin with her picture on it.
I would like
Um,
to add that I felt like Kylan pulling her out. If I see that somebody is crying or has had a terrible day, I'm not gonna add to that. Like, if you tell somebody something, fine, and confront them on something, fine. But if I'm like, the girl is actively crying, her eyes was red, you couldn't miss that she was upset. I feel like Kylan could have waited, but I also feel like she wanted a moment for the camera. They just seem so thirsty to me.
yeah, it was just a lot. I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't have thought that until I saw that napkin. That's when I said, "Oh yeah, she want camera time. She want to make sure she's
She's
seen."
desperate for it.
Because there's no way you pulling out a napkin. I'm crying and you pulling out a napkin with your face on it. There's just no way. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm making a big deal about a napkin, but that was the
No,
most
you're
over the
not,
top.
friend. You are not making a big deal because that was absolutely over the top. You have to prepare to keep napkins. Who does that? And a napkin is not something you want to just have on you. If you're trying to fix your makeup or wipe your nose or any of that, that shit might hurt. And it looked like she used cheap material. It looked like one of them stiff, cheap Party City napkins.
Lord Jesus, I can't. Oh, Amber. Okay, I did miss something in my notes. So Amber walks over, with Tiffany and her niece, and she's checking on Amber. She goes, "How you doing?" and everything, and that's what Amber, you know, goes over with this IVF journey and freezing her eggs and everything. And I'm sorry, y'all. I don't. I know Amber was crying in a scene, but I was too busy looking at Tiffany's fall or wig or whatever that was on her head that was sticking up or exposing all that faux head.
It's like her wigs. I
I
can't
was like,
I can't tell if Tiffany's in a wig or a weave, but I don't know if y'all notice like her edges, like it's almost like the wig is like sliding back slowly.
sliding back like it was lifted up, and that's all I could look at. I didn't even know what they were talking about in the scene.
JB, not her cry ankle. Good morning, JB.
Good morning, JB. Like, oh my god. And she be and Candace, I'll tell you, she be folded it in a triangle.
In a perfect symmetrical
She be
triangle.
like,
And she always gets the corner, just dips it down. She catch every tear. I don't know. Oh God. Maybe I'm evil because not a damn hoe could make me cry.
No.
Lord.
I would hope not just me, because that don't look like that's 2-ply at all or 3-ply. That look like that's negative 4-ply. Ain't nobody finna wipe their ass with that.
Not they ass.
Yes, hey, but shout out to JB in the house. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to my boy JB says what? JB in
And
the
hype his
house.
videos.
And like his videos. He be doing a great job. I be hollering at work when I be looking at y'all. I mean, especially you, JB, when you be going it over Housewives of Atlanta. I love it. All right, y'all. But what else? What else happened? That was it. We're gonna move on to Love and Marriage Huntsville. But that was, Belle Collective Birmingham. This
They
episode was
better.
okay. Huh?
This has been the driest series start to anything. I'm kind of bored and I hope that this improves. That is all.
I agree. I hope this improves. I hope that this gets better. Um, they need to go ahead. I hope I don't see Miss Mayer's wife too much after this, because it's not going to be good for Miss Mayer's wife. I'm just, and yes, I'm calling her Miss Mayer's wife. I know her name is Ken. I know what her name is, y'all. Once again, please do not get in these comments and correct me. That is Miss Mayer's wife. You know, that's what it is. I'm not calling her nothing else, because you know what I call Miss Mayor's wife? Because she need to conduct herself like the mayor's wife.
Just remember, she doesn't need new friends,
Yeah,
but she needs your vote.
she needs your vote, but and she doesn't like to connect with people, once they say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, unbeknownst to them.
If you tell her your life story, she might take her shrimp and grits to go.
Exactly, because she don't care. But that was it, y'all. We're gonna get a Love and Marriage Huntsville. That's a video y'all are not gonna want to miss because I have some strong opinions about the Fletchers. What you say, just me? Tiffany and Miss Mary's wife could have taken the opportunity to use this platform to showcase Birmingham and their influence in a positive way. That's because there is no influence in a positive way, obviously. Because
That's
you
what
would
the
think,
people wanted with a new Belle Collective. A lot of the people were saying, well, maybe unlike the original series, they'll get more into the business, more into what these women are doing for the community, and it'll be less drama. But it looks
es-
like that's not going to happen. So,
especially when you are the mayor's wife. You would think, like, I don't know. I'm not married to a politician, so I don't know what that really entails. Like, I'm not, I don't think I could be like, if I married a man and he said I want to go into politics, I might be like, you might got the wrong husband because I don't know how to be a first gentleman. I might be worse than Miss Mayor's wife. Hell, no,
thinking
no,
of that
me.
couple on Beyond the Gates. There's a same-sex couple on there that's in politics.
I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I
Lord,
can. Like, I hope I never. God, listen, don't be trying to teach me no lesson by getting me with somebody that's gonna go into politics, please.
Jay's gonna
Because
get to North Carolina and his man about to be like, so babe, I'm considering
I
politics.
don't, I don't see him doing that at all. But
I
I'm
know
just,
he wouldn't,
yeah,
but that
I
would
don't
be
see him
funny.
doing that at all. But I'm just like, I just know because God got a crazy sense of humor.
He
He
do.
do. He got a crazy sense of humor, and I'm gonna catch myself now because I can't. I'm not gonna be Miss Mayer's husband. I'm not gonna
Jay's
be
gonna
do
be
that.
texting me at political dinners. Girl, this is some bullshit.
All these colorless people
I
up in
can't
here.
even go to the bathroom without security. He gonna be. Oh God.
Child. Yeah, let me nip that in the bud now because God got a crazy sense of humor. This shit. I don't want to experience that life. It ain't for me. I am not meant to be a politician spouse. I'm just not. So let's not do that. The closest thing I've ever gotten to that is I was in a relationship with a lobbyist. And even that shit was crazy.
My
I couldn't
sister
even
used to be a lobbyist, and when she was for the state of California, when she was doing it, she was so short tempered, on edge, and she would be telling the family, "Hey, you guys can't do this because people could look this up." Girl,
when I tell you I couldn't post this man, I had to
no, they really
sign
give the family and their loved ones, anyone they date, they will
oh yeah.
hand you like rules that you have to follow for how you
Contract. I had
conduct
to sign a
yourself.
contract. Yeah. I had to sign a contract. I had to sign an NDA and a contract.
My mama said, "Fuck California." My sister don't do that no more.
Yeah, like, oh my God. I remember that guy was I couldn't do it. We were together for a good 7 months, but I couldn't do it after that. Like I
Their
was like,
job
no,
is to argue to get laws written. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
can you
yeah,
imagine
couldn't
that
do
in
it.
a
That's why I
dispute?
said no. That's why I said it wasn't for me. But anyways, y'all, I'm late to Real House. I'm sorry, Real Housewives. Love and Marriage Huntsville. So let's go ahead and get to that video. I will see all of y'all there. Like, comment, and subscribe. And shout out to my replay gang. I love y'all too. Leave me a comment like y'all always do. Have a great one, y'all. Bye bye.